Hello everyone and welcome to another English analysis video. My name is Mr. Point and today we will be exploring the theme of communism in Charles Dickens's novel A Christmas Carol. This was an issue that really shines through in A Christmas Carol, and it really reflects the state of society at the time. It is a really interesting and deep topic, and I hope that you will at least understand a bit by the end of the video. To make the most of this video, make sure that you have a pen, a piece of paper to write on, and ensure that your mobile phone is turned off. I'll give a quick overview of communism first. In the 19th century, when Dickens was writing this novel, the economic system implemented in Britain was a system known as capitalism. However, at around the same time, a different economic system known as communism started to emerge, primarily from thinkers such as Karl Marx. Throughout the novel, Dickens refers to communist ideas and promotes a communist ideology. Firstly, let's start with some information about capitalism and communism. Capitalism was the economic system that was and still is implemented around the world. Dickens wrote A Christmas Carol. Private corporations hire workers to produce goods, with minimal intervention from the government, leading to an increasing wealth gap between the poorest, who were basically penniless, and the richest, who had incredibly lavish lifestyles. Karl Marx argued that the workers would realize that the bourgeoisie, the factory owners, were causing this struggle, and capitalism would be overthrown, replaced with communism, public ownership of factories and farms, and a classless and equal society run according to the principle, from each according to his ability, to each according to his needs. It was implemented in the USSR, China, North Korea and some others. The symbol for communism is a hammer and sickle, as shown on screen. The colors that are often associated with communism are red and yellow. Here are some of the places where Dickens refers to communist ideas. You should watch me do the first analysis, follow along for the second one, and analyze the others independently before comparing with my analysis. Here I will use the method of quote analysis that I taught in the last video. The first quote is from Stave 1, and here it is: cash boxes, keys, padlocks. I then think of the associations and connotations of cash boxes, keys and padlocks. So what comes to mind is money, greed, hoarding and locking others away from your property. The noun key is also associated with secrets, and to unlock things. Now I think of the normal usages of these nouns. Padlocks and cash boxes are used to lock away items, money in the case of cash boxes, that you don't want others getting to. Finally, keys are used to unlock the padlocks and cash boxes, so that you can get to your own property inside. In the context of communism, however, this refers to how the rich are exploiting the poor and locking the money away. Dickens is criticizing Scrooge, but since Scrooge was a person who made his wealth in banking, Dickens here is criticizing the rich upper-class people, who gained their money from exploiting children and their workers by paying them next to nothing, and locking the money away, locking the workers' life and opportunities. The next quote is also from Stave 1, and it is again from Scrooge's encounter with Marley's ghost. The quote is, "I wear the chains I forged in life." Chains are associated with being locked up, being entrapped, and linking things together. Forging things is associated with metal, hard labor, heat and fire. It could symbolize the fact that the rich upper classes are forcing workers to make their own chains, trying to entrap them in the capitalist system. However, the connotations of hard labor and fire echo hell, which normally is a punishment in the afterlife. It could show how the workers are suffering hellish conditions, long hours, and difficult work on earth, implying that living under capitalism is like hell. The chains are a direct echo of the Communist Manifesto. The proletarians have nothing to lose but their chains. This is a call for the ordinary workers to unite against the capitalist exploitation. In the context of A Christmas Carol, it could mean that the exploited poor, symbolized by Marley, are under a growing pressure from the rich upper class to work harder in worse conditions for lower wages. However, this drive of exploitation will only lead to the workers' chains being broken, molten and reforged into a new, better system, communism. The next quote is from Stave 2, in which Scrooge is shown Belle rejecting him, because he is too attached to money. The quote is, "This is the even-handed dealing of the world." Dealing is associated with playing cards, unfairness in doing so, and an underhanded advantage, and if something is even-handed it means that it is equal, and that nobody has an advantage. In this quote, these two ideas contradict each other, the promise of even-handedness and the idea of cheating from dealing. This hints at the inequality present in Victorian society, that the factory owners and rich people are cheating the workers, exploiting them for their own gain. This also could link to the theme of communism in another way. Karl Marx believed that capitalism was full of contradictions, such as the workers and the bourgeoisie having conflicting interests and capitalist economies constantly being punctuated by economic crises. This is exactly the sort of contradiction here, the juxtaposition of equality and unfairness. However, Dickens therefore suggests the more natural way is for everything to be even-handed, so for the workers to seize the means of production and divide the goods amongst themselves. Capitalism, represented by Scrooge, should be rejected, just like how Belle rejected Scrooge. In fact, her name gives a clue. Bells are symbolic of warnings, and a call to order. Dickens is giving us a call and warning to reject capitalism and strive for a communist society where people are equal. The next quote is from Stave 3, and it is hidden in a short description of the sky. However, it is absolutely jam-packed with communist references. The quote is, "Down in the west the setting sun had left a streak of fiery red." The sun is associated with light, warmth, but also heat, fire and burning. This symbolizes the suffering and pressure the workers are under, which links Marley's quote, "I wear the chains I forged in life." Additionally, the color red is associated with fire, blood and anger, and the noun streak means a thin line of a color different from surroundings. Streak can also be used as a verb, and it means to move fast. This symbolizes how the communist revolution will start with a spark, leaving a revolution in its wake, until communism naturally replaces capitalism. The quote also discusses a setting sun. A setting sun is associated with the end of a day, and the dark transitionary period before the bright dawn of a new day. This could refer to how in the West, capitalism will meet its end, due to the overthrowing of the rich factory owners, leading to a transitionary stage before a new, brighter future is established with the workers owning the means of production. Dickens wants us to realize how we are so close to a communist revolution, and the end of a capitalist regime. However, it could show how the fire is getting hotter and that the revolution will be fast and inevitable, fueled by the unstoppable will of the people. It could also link to how when the sun sets in the West, the sun rises in the East, referencing the fact the first communist societies emerged in Russia, China and the East, contrary to Marx, who believed that they would emerge in industrialized societies in the West. Additionally, the red in the sky hints at the Chinese communist song, Red Sun in the Sky, which was used as a piece of propaganda. There are some other places where Dickens references communist ideas, and I have provided a short list of them here. Note these are not full analyses, these are just short sections where Dickens peppered in a reference to communism. The first is it a foot or a claw, and the imagery of a foot and the claw could reference the hammer and sickle, with the foot representing a hammer and the claw representing the sickle. The next short quote is Iron Frame, which describes Tiny Tim. The iron frame could be a reference to Stalin, whose name means man of steel. Another short reference is in Old Joe's shop, because they are stealing Scrooge's items, suggesting that property is theft. Notice that as the text progresses, there are less obvious references to communism. This symbolizes how the future is communism, and that after Scrooge wakes up, he has been shown the way. Now it's time for an essay-style question, which I would like you to write a paragraph for. The question is, how does Dickens present the poor and working in A Christmas Carol? Pause the video now and have a go at this question. I will then show an example response for you to compare with. Dickens presents the poor and working as oppressed, imprisoned and unable to break free from poverty, because he wants to demonstrate that the bourgeoisie are monstrous, cruel and oppressive. He wants to show that the only way out of this cruelty is through a people's communist revolution, in which the workers and poor escape the suffering by themselves. In Stave 1, Marley's ghost appears and states that, "I wear the chains I forged in life." Chains are associated with prisons, heaviness, and tyranny. These associations are generally negative, and are associated with oppression. In addition, forging is associated with fire, high heat, melting, and the colors red, orange, yellow and white. In this context, Dickens wants to show the suffering and imprisonment of the working class and poor, and that the bourgeoisie is tyrannical and diabolical. The chains represent capitalism, keeping the poor and unable to escape from poverty. However, the verb, forged, could also imply that in order for the working class to shake off the chains, they need to remelt them. The high heat associated with forging could symbolize the increasing unhappiness of the chained-up workers, and that eventually the chains will be molten. This links to the Communist Manifesto, since one of the last lines is a call for the proletariat to unite and that they have nothing to lose but their chains. In addition, the colors associated with forges, red, yellow and orange, are the colors used in the Soviet flag. Here, Dickens is directly referring to the fact that after the chains are broken, a communist society will emerge. He also warns the richer people, embodied by Scrooge, who think that the poor are idle, that they should join the cause of the proletarians and free the workers from their chains before they free themselves and the rich are swept up in the aftermath. Therefore, Dickens presents the poor as imprisoned to alert the rich to the imminent communist revolution and to add fuel to the fire for the proletarians. Now let's pick that paragraph apart. I'm using the penis structure here, and I start with a point of more than one sentence. It is a complex point I can explore and justify in my paragraph. Then I have my evidence, a metaphor from stave 1. Then's my analysis, where I've zoomed in on, forged, and also on, chains, and then I state the associations. I then say how it links to communism and explore the meanings and ways that it links. Then I do a bit more word analysis, link it and then state Dickens' aims and message to his audience. Finally, I recap with my point and a quick summary of Dickens' intended meaning. And that brings us to the end of this English analysis video. I hope you've learned something. I hope to see you in the next video, and for now have a good day.